America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Lord be with us today as we deliberate the business of the county. Help us, Lord, to keep in mind the best interests of our residents, our local taxpayers, Lord. Help us to mind your teachings and your wishes for us as we go about this business. I ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Thank you. All right. Have you had a chance to look at the minutes from September 3rd, 2024? Make a motion, maybe second. Second. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Dana, what do you have for us? There, fine. So first thing we have is the Allied Weekly Health Insurance claims. And we got a $49,441.23. That is all medical, and there were some stop loss on there, but the total amount all medical is $49,441.23. Very good. Any questions on that? Nope. Motion. Second. All right. Motion to approve that claim was presented. Next, we have payroll claims. Payroll claims in the amount of $364,137.03. 364,137.03. Okay. Any questions on that? Nope. I'll second that motion. Okay, motion carries to approve payroll claims. And you should receive the payroll time status program. That was sent out to you. Let's make motion to approve. Okay, motion carries to approve the time cards for appointed positions. And the final thing I have is some monthly clerk report that I also have sent via email to all of you. Make motion to accept that report. Second. Okay, motion carries. See, that is that part of that. Hey. How's things today? All right. Mark, I have a quick question. Yep. The auction is going to be held as far as the titles go. I know Sharon's going to have some of those. We have some up in our office. Can we just make sure that Steve or Shane or somebody has the ones that we have, and then the commissioner that is there signs off for the new owners when they buy it? Yep. Okay. Yeah, any one of the commissioners can sign off. Just if you want. On the titles, how many vehicles do we have? We have to wait and see if it sells first. Or do they have it there in case it sells? Well, I think what you could do is on the type for the titles on the vehicles, or is there only in a decon trailers or I think or Meadows van? I think we might have it there.
There's 4 vehicles and 1 trailer.
Are they all titled the Adams County Board of Commissioners? Is that how they're titled? The trailer is in there.
And then the 2 other vehicles are titled Adams County Community Corrections. And then I think the trailer is probably EMA because it was grant paid.
Okay. I think on all of them, you can fill out on the seller information, just type out the name of the seller as however it's on the title. Or don't read it. And then don't, no signature, no date, but you just type that out and then for the sale. If it sells, then you just fill it out, or sign it, date it. There's your sale price on it. If it doesn't sell, so what?
Right.
We have to pay
Don't sign
for it. Yeah, don't sign it.
Okay, perfect.
That way, that doesn't hurt anything. It's just one less line you gotta fill out. I just didn't know if you waited until it sold, wouldn't do it, or if they take, I just wanted to make sure, or what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'd have the seller information, the name, and then you probably could use this address as the address of seller. I don't even know if that address.
It's on the title.
It's on the title, so yeah.
Don't sign it unless it's sold, because then
Yeah.
it's an open title, and that's.
Right, don't sign it unless it sells. Exactly. Yep.
I can go up and get those, Steve, afterward if you want to come up and get them.
All right, I'll do that.
That's all that I had.
Did you undo claims?
Those titles back.
Why?
That won't be till next week.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it shouldn't be next week. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me see that. I'm not sure if I have that date correct. I think I put that date in. Yeah, this one was approved last week. Okay, sure. Sorry, so the next one will be next week. Okay.
Okay. Nothing else, Timmy? Good. Nate, do you have anything for us today? We don't have a question?
I hope so. Couple of updates for you. Small structures are getting close to coming to roads. KBL started on culvert C 124 today and should be completed later on this afternoon. Assuming no issues with the deliveries of stone. This is the culvert that crosses under County Road 550 West, just south of 1050 here. So they were working on that. That's where I ran between meetings to go see what the progress was. So I'll be back up there this afternoon.
I do appreciate how quick they work. I mean, from the time they go in and fix the culvert, it happens pretty quick.
And I appreciate working with some of these excavators that are familiar with the process. They come in fairly quick, and assuming no other outlying issues. Worst case right now that I've experienced has been maybe something laying over 2 days if there was issues getting the removal out, working around utilities. Certainly, it's evidence why we want directional board, cables, phone, and fiber lines to go under the ditch and under the culverts. We're encountering quite a few that were put in 30 years ago that went over the top and they're draped tight. It makes the removal much slower. That's usually been our biggest delay, and we usually lose about 4 to 5 hours just fighting with utilities, trying to work around them. So in the future and moving forward, we want to make sure that they bore underneath the legal drains, because it saves us a lot of trouble working and certainly helps the surveyor's office. So
Whoever invented directional boring should be sitting on a beach in Florida.
we should thank them
Yes.
very much. Tomorrow, KBL is planning to start on culvert C 356. Hopefully that'll be done Wednesday, Thursday, depending on utilities in that area as well. This is the one that crosses 200 west, about a half mile north of 750 north. That'll be the last one for 2024, unless we find some issue with another pipe, but that is all part of the major projects we have. I have received calls regarding the temporary gravel patches that we've had. I'm working with contractors to try to get permanent patches completed. I had intended to include this with the HMA paving project that we awarded Brooks, just as a change order to that contract that we would pay out of the Cume Bridge Fund. Unfortunately, Brooks is telling me that they can't commit to finishing all of them by the end of this year because of their now current workload. And I have been talking to them for a process of about two and a half months. I've not been able to get them to commit to it. So I am looking at all the alternatives, trying to see if KBL would be able to put permanent pavement down. It sounds like they can. They have capacity to do that. But I am certainly working to try to get that wrapped up. Looking into next year and how we try to do these in 2025, my preference would be to do this model where we have some of the local contractors that are smaller that are capable to do the culvert removal, excavation, install. They're essentially with backhoes and some larger loaders, they're able to make that work happen. But they don't always pave. If I bundle the pipe and the paving together, then it starts to limit and make more exclusive that work. And so I might lose bidders, and then I also certainly pay more for the asphalt because I'm having them sub the asphalt rather than me sub it direct. So that can become a problem. to deal with it for this year, thankfully Brad and his crew are going to go out and dirt patch some of the crossings that we've got right now, certainly the high traffic ones, try to deal with some of the concerns about loose gravel or rough crossings. But I'm looking at how I want to try to proceed with these in 2025 and kind of learn the lesson as far as timing. It didn't work out well for us this year just because excavators had such good weather. They delayed this quite a bit longer than I would have liked.
Tell me a little bit about dirt patch. I mean, how quick can you put it on after the stone has been backfilled? And does it have to be redone at some point, and how long does it last, or what?
The dirt patch is very similar to your asphalt emulsion. Essentially, it's the same thing. It's essentially a kettle that's heated. They'll spray that on and then cover it with chipstone. It's essentially the same materials that you do when you're doing a full distributor, when you're spraying and the problem is it's soft, it's not very thick. If you've got a high travel road like section of Minnick 300 West or what we've got right now with 900 South, it's really not suitable for a permanent solution. So it's certainly not the same thing as putting in 6 inches of asphalt as far as strength. Many locations it might be more than adequate for a significant period of time, but some roads I have the money to put an asphalt patch on it, and that's going to be about as strong as it can be. It's not a full day process for any one patch, but it
Do you
does.
have to let the stone settle for a while first?
If it's packed well when it's put in, it shouldn't be an issue. That's something that I need to be on site for when they're finally doing the patch work as far as the stone. That's one of the reasons I want to be out there on I-50 is to have them running multiple times. If they just go in at the beginning and when they're running, no matter what they do, they just get a hard crust on top and then there's a soft quill underneath. And that gets exposed really early when you get semis running across it. Just passenger vehicles are small. I mean, you get away with a lot when you've got less than 500 cars a day on it.
It sounds like a good solution.
Oh, absolutely. The dirt patch, that may be something that we come to an agreement between Brad and I saying, hey, if I have local excavators do the install and we just put the money in the budget and share with having the dirt patch crew go out, and that probably would have been easier, but obviously you've been privy to issues with the distributor this year. It certainly delayed their chip seal schedule quite a bit. So me asking them to stop when they're finally out there patching just that's not a good use of resources. They can't do that. They need to do what their responsibilities are. So I think it's going to work out well. Not any major issues. I know there's been some calls like, where you can get out there and patch this. I wish I had a better answer for that. So hopefully Brad's is working with me to cover some of these areas. That buys us more time. And for 95% of the locations, it's not going to be an issue. The 5% can be, I need to get that asphalt out there soon. So I'm working on that. And if I change the contracts, you'll have better service. It just costs more. It's just, is that what we want to spend the money on? And do I want to do that everywhere or just some places? That's a judgment call that I'll certainly want to talk to you individually. It's about specific locations when you see the plan of structures. So, next year on the list, county bridge inspection. I now have the draft. That's this binder right here. I'm starting to review that. I'm going to have them comments the next 2 weeks as far as any issues that I see with that. Peaks of interest within the report. We did have one small structure that is determined that it qualifies as actually a bridge. It was installed as a 19-foot, 10-inch span small structure. When I looked at it in the small structure list, it seemed to have a skew. Doing the math on that, it means it actually qualifies as a bridge. I brought that up to BLM, they inspected it, and they confirmed my suspicions. So we now have bridge number 182 in the inventory. So it's now a bridge, means need to be on the regular inspection cycle every 2 years, and it does qualify for federal funds, the inspection and for possible replacement. That is a structure that carries 950 south and is just west of 200 west. That is the structure in this location. There are no bridges no new bridges that qualify for federal funds. We didn't have anything that fell below a qualifying threshold as far as conditions, so. That's good and bad. It means I can't go for grant money for anything else, but it also means that our inventory is in really good shape. So, that's good and bad, the silver lining for that. And lastly, I am working on the HSIP grant. That's the guardrail impact end grant application. I've got a draft of that with me. I just need to finish that up. I'm working on some items with Shane that we need to have. Other than that, I should be in pretty good shape. And that's going to answer a few questions as well for me.
Is that due at the end of September, or when's that?
Well, it's actually due in early October. So we've got the time. I wanted to get this done early, and I'm glad I started early. There's some things that we need to get answered, and I really don't have time at the last minute to do it. So, but good. I'll let you know when those get sent out and when those get wrapped up, but
Thanks.
other than that, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Very good. Appreciate everything. As always.
Successful.
All right. Well, I do anything for us?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's official stuff today.
Yeah, right.
Official.
I thought you said fishing stuff.
Oh, that'd be good too. All right, the first one I have, the unofficial detour for US 33 NDOT is going to be working, I call it east of 27, they're calling it south, the way it runs. Anyhow, they're gonna be working just 0.47 miles east of 27, so when they close that down, and they're calling it bridge replacement, but it's not a bridge structure, I don't think. I think
Is
it's
that
gonna
the
be
drive, or was that it?
on 33.
Oh, 33.
33, stop at 27. And so, then again, the unofficial detour we sent them was 300 north, 100 east, back up to 33. It's the closest one there is, yeah. So that's one we sent them on that, and they accepted that, and they sent a letter for you gentlemen to sign if you're agreeable to that.
Do you have any idea how long that'll be closed for?
No, this is one of them where they're setting all this up in time, and
So it's not really imminent, it's just,
it is, could be a year or two.
okay,
Yeah. Well, that when they send out the notice.
gotcha.
Back here.
Could be, you never know. So, yeah, if you gentlemen are agreeing, I have paper for you to sign.
Good. Do you need a motion to approve that,
Yeah,
unofficial route?
Yeah.
Make that motion. Second.
All right. Motion carries.
and then while you guys were signing that, I did not staple them all together, it's easier. Just now, as a heads up, they also sent me a notice that they're going to be working on 116, just still on Western Geneva. There's that small drain culvert, and they're gonna be working on that, so they sent me a letter asking, what do you think? So there again, it's the first road, it's 200 west, go up to 950 south and back to 27. So now that, I don't have the official paper, but that's what I suggested to them, and I thought I'd give you guys a heads up, that's what I suggested to them. Yeah, come on, you can't overthink what people are gonna travel. They're gonna go to the closest route.
Well, that's the thing, it seems like the complaints we get when trucks don't follow the posted route.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, it's happening all the time up there on 324.
And the important aspect of that is they'll reimburse us for repairs on that unofficial route. But if we designate that, and that's not where everybody goes, we don't get that route repaired.
Exactly.
So we have to figure out where the traffic is gonna go naturally and designate that. They won't run the trucks down 200, will they?
Well, the official detour for the trucks will be 218 to 27, where they're letting them come around on 116.
Sure.
But then, yep.
When might that be done, Brad, this 116, this year or next year?
Now, 116 is even further off than 33 is, so I don't have a clue.
Okay.
So the other, I have one permit. And, we noticed last Friday, one of our guys was, we were off Friday, but he was just out with his personal stuff. He's like, there's a bunch of new pools out here along this road. What's going on?
So yesterday did some investigating and I&M uses Ashland as some contractors. Well, they were out, they already got all the poles in and they were finishing hooking up the wires on this end. So I stopped and I said, hey, so I know you guys are doing it to them. So they gave me the engineer from I&M. I made a phone call to the lady that normally handles permits. That guy called me and I said, hey, we require a permit. And he's like, he apologized, he's kind of new to this area, and each county's different. And I said, well, you need to get a permit done. He goes, well, then you had to refer back to the lady I called, yada, yada. Anyhow, they sent us the permit for the work that's already done. And that I do have the permit for it. And I am meeting him out there tomorrow, though, at the site to just kind of let him know what we like to see done. There's a couple of them going to happen. They're involved in the site ditch, and that's good. Yeah.
Can I say something about that too? I don't know if you're out at Pickway, but for the last 2-3 weeks, they've been blocking our entrance to our office. Yesterday, they came out and let us know that they're going to be shutting down the power for 4 hours, either Wednesday or Thursday, they're not sure. I'm very unhappy about the whole entire process. I mean, we can't go without power for 4 hours business. So whoever they are, they don't seem to care about anything else.
So are these Aspen guys or OP guys?
No, it's whoever you said it was.
Ashland.
Ashland, yeah, I guess. So, right.
And did they replace all the poles out there?
They replaced the poles and they ran new cable and wires, so.
I made sure that it was permitted, but I think there was, because typically what they do is, like I told you guys, they'll come out and they'll pull and put a new one in. But as far as the wire and power being out,
I know, but it's been going on for 3 weeks. They've been blocking Pickway Road and you can't turn into my office if you're coming from the north. And so now, I don't know how we're going to operate for 4 hours. We've got an assessment coming up on Thursday in Indianapolis for our resilience court. And then to just come the day or 2 days before and say, oh, by the way, we're shutting your power off for 4 hours. It's just, it's poor business.
they're just letting you know now they're shutting the power.
Yeah.
And they're doing it on Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday, they don't know for sure.
I'll email you some contacts.
I appreciate that.
Well, and I think we need to have somebody to talk to from AEP. When I imagine they're the ones that control the contract.
I have students in the classroom. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
If we had a longer term outlook for how long we were going to be in that building, I would think we would need to wire that for some kind of a temporary generator or something. But I don't know that we have that long term outlook for how long we're going to be there. But we need to, I hate it that we haven't done that already. How long have you been in that building now out there?
6 years.
Yeah.
Megan?
2017.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Megan missed the move. She had something else going on that day.
I just tried to fit in
Hey, Jim is perfect. So,
Yeah,
I appreciate that, because I'm not done crazy stinking, so.
Well, no, they shouldn't have been blocking your driveway.
So it's, what they're doing is they're trying to prevent people from going in towards Riverview.
So using that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so the cones are lined up right in front of our office, so.
Okay, Dan,
Thanks.
What's the plan for the small generator, Country Meadows, or Gold Meadows? There's a generator there that will just hold out.
well, let's go to the courthouse.
Okay.
Right, we have access to, within the county, the sewer district has a brand new generator, portable generator that we could borrow in this particular case if you were just wired for it.
If you're wired for it.
Yeah, but I don't know what it probably would be expensive to get you wired for it. But if we owned that building, for instance, that would be what I would be advocating for.
Yeah.
He can do that, he's getting good at putting generators.
If we had it in 2 days' notice, we could have had a generator or something like, that happened.
Hold on their work until we get things done correctly. Well, yeah, but, I don't know how much control we have over AEP.
I can reach out to him and, I can give him contacts, but. Is that something that they should be doing? I mean, it's part of our permit. They basically ask us to be allowed to work in the right of way.
Right.
And then they're also supposed to provide traffic control,
Right.
which I think that's part of your traffic control. Right. It's just they're not being considered at the places along there.
How does that work if they don't shut off somebody's power? I mean, can they just do that?
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, they're supposed to give you a notice.
I asked them to come back on Saturday, because we did have a pole replaced on our drive where they had to cut power, and they came and did it on Saturday.
Well, I guess that was the only thing I was thinking was, could we get them to do that on Saturday?
The response I got was, well, that's a lot of guys and a lot of overtime, so.
Yeah, our problem.
Right.
Well, so are you gonna get contacts for Ian or
Yeah.
how do you want?
Yeah, I'll send him a couple of names I know. And then again, yeah, this person, you don't know if it's the right person, but they maybe guide you to the next person, yeah. That's what I had to kind of do on this. Anyhow, so yeah, anyhow, to finish this, so it's on 200 west between 300 and 350 south. It's a half-mile stretch here. They replaced all the poles there, because I think the one farm operation there needed 3-phased. They just replaced the poles and ran new wire. Yeah, but I'm gonna meet with him tomorrow morning.
And you said you've got a couple he's gonna have to move.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him move just a couple poles. I don't know why they do what they do. A couple, or most of them are good, but there's just a couple right above the side ditch. So I don't get it. And they're why you have, so anyhow, yeah, at least they got their permit.
Okay.
So.
Good. Second.
All right. Motion
Okay,
carries.
so while you gentlemen are sending that one around,
Thank you.
just a couple more things. We've gotten, I can't remember last week, but I told you if our distributor was running or not. It might have been one day, the next day it went down again. Some of those previous issues, once we got up and running, it created other issues that weren't found. So Jake County was gracious enough. They sent their distributor, I don't remember if I told you that or not, but so anyhow, Jake County sent their distributor up. We worked 2 days, basically finished what we thought we needed to finish this year. We still ended up getting 57 miles done, which was about 20 miles short of what we would like to have done. But that just means next year then we'll add that 20 miles on to next year's, and we'll get it covered. And then one other thing, I brought it up a little bit about Winchester Road. You know, they're north of the 45 ends, and when that development goes.
Yeah.
So the sheriff was gracious enough, he let me use a piece of equipment so I could set there with the 45 ends. And I did a speed study. I did one morning from 7 to noon, and I went another morning from 12 to 3:30. So I called morning and afternoon traffic. And so I did my own speed study, and Merck has done traffic counts in that area, so we have all the information. And with what I came up with, and I talked with Nate, I would like to see that 45 get extended all the way up to 300 west. Because even once you're past that new housing division, there's a slight curve across the bridge and comes back up a hill there, and finally at 300 west, it kind of straightens out. So that would be my recommendation, is just extend that 45, and then if you guys are good with that, have Mark's office of an ordinance. So it's up to you guys at this point. I mean, it's not a huge rush, but I would like to get it.
And we don't know by statute, we're only allowed to drop it 10
So-
miles an hour, is that?
Yes, when I did my study there, the average going north was it north or south? The average going north, and now I got them right there, as that 45 started and ended. So as it ended, I got them like as I was going past, and the average going north was 53. The average going south was 51. So, like I said, I discussed it with Nate, and he says with the information we have that we could go to 45 within that 85th percentile and all that, at 5 miles per hour. But that was just an average, so if you took the 85th percentile, we could actually make it.
So do we need to take action on that now?
It's up to you guys. If you need time to think about it, that's fine. It's not a big hurry. It's just something I would recommend that we do, especially if that gets passed, that we have this in place before they start developing that. Yeah. So should I tell you guys, if you feel comfortable with what?
For speed, we just gotta revise we just have to adopt an ordinance.
Basically extend the existing one.
Yeah, I just need the endpoints and then we'll adopt an ordinance.
We want to do that?
I do, I think we owe that to the residents out there. I feel like that when we approved that development out there, that we intended to lower that speed limit. So I certainly support that.
So they make a motion to do it, or wait until you get
Yeah,
an
I'll get the ordinance drafted, so I just need to know
Yeah.
how to
I'll give you the stuff, just outlines.
endpoints, begin and endpoints, and we'll put it in.
Okay. Hey, thank you, that's it.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you, Brad.
It's Winchester Road, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Rick, do you have anything for us today?
I just really want to give you some updates of some things that are gonna go on, what's gonna be happening maybe next week. Shane Ball and Sons should be here next week, starting to run that wire for that generator.
Is your new
The goal
email
is,
is the same,
as
just
far as
that
shutting
back
the
there?
power off, it's Columbus big. I think it's a retainable goal, but that's the goal, to do that.
And then they know that.
Yes, that has been talked about, but when they're all on site here, we'll have another conversation about all this. Try to keep me informed, and I'll let you know as soon as they let me know that's gonna be the time to do that. The project that myself and Mike was here a few weeks back about the generator, the power over there at the courthouse, they should be starting the prep work of moving the hot water heater and their radiator, that's been done. Service Electric should be in there next week, starting to do some things in there. Mount the box, get the wire ran over there. So that
I
should,
wonder when they start doing that, will that disrupt that office, the clerk's office?
no, because basically what they have to do in there is, I don't believe it will. It'll be separate panels out there, and they're gonna tie that into where the power feeds into that.
I see, okay.
So the only interruptions I know that may go on in there is when they hook those UPSs up, and that's just a matter of putting another PC or something in there, and they're just gonna plug it into them. Those are here in purchase, I don't know if I told you that. Along with some emergency backup lighting, just in case. That equipment is all down here in our power room. There's a rack in there, and that's where it's sitting.
So you've got it all on site?
Yeah, so it's here, ready to go when that time comes. Our fire extinguishers came in that you approved for the server rooms. They're not, we haven't got a date yet of when he's coming in, but they are in now. So hopefully, city had a big job this week, so maybe next week that'll also go on, get those mounted in those rooms. Tony, having more with you too. The insurance company wanted to send a gentleman in to look at our facilities. And I believe it's Lee Brown. The date for that is the 25th. He wants to start at the courthouse around 9:30. Tony had asked me to walk him through that. What they're wanting that he pre-sent me is they're gonna want the sprinkler inspection, the fire pump inspection, the fire extinguisher inspection.
So you gotta have a lot of paperwork ready.
Yeah. Could we have that? That's not an issue. And then probably from there, we'll go to Superior Court here. I did mention to the sheriff that he had mentioned in my email about the jail, but I said it had nothing to do with that. I can direct you there, but I've been enlightening Dan about that, so.
So you're gonna wanna look at Golden Meadows too? He only listed 3 buildings?
Yeah.
Okay. Did Dustin or Doug get back with you as to whether or not you want them there with you?
Not yet, they haven't. They don't.
I mean, apparently this is pretty typical when the carriers cover property and so forth.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's nothing out of the ordinary. They just kind of randomly picked 3 other locations in the county, and I got a hold of Rick because we better go walk them through. You have access to everything they're going to need to see. So, yeah.
I believe, did the State Board of Accounts show up then, Tony?
Say yes, they got here this morning.
So that everything's good there?
I told them to
Okay.
let me know and see somebody know if they need anything else.
Okay.
And I've been down here, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think we got them everything that they wanted, I believe. Just to let you know, I think I should write on it. Shannon came to me last week and thought they smelled an odor of gas in the kitchen at Golden Meadows. It could have been a power light or whatever it may be. For the strength of time and with this, I just shut the gas off. So it's off. It's off outside. I did take pictures of what I did. It's just a matter of,
Well, the only thing that would, I mean, obviously, nobody's gonna use a water heater there, nobody's gonna be cooking there, and we don't need heat yet, so,
right.
you know, there's probably no issue. I can't think of anything else.
Are those appliances that are being sold, have they been disconnected yet?
That I don't know, John. I know if they're gas oriented, there's no
Yes.
gas.
Okay, well, I realize that, but should they all be disconnected before the auction?
He's coming out tomorrow, so we'll probably do some of that is my guess.
Okay, I was just,
So anyway, and that is shut off before the meter. Yes. So,
okay.
There's a lot of things going on every day, but that's really, I think, all I got going on right now.
Well, very good. I think it's neat to see this generator and power room project come to fruition after all the time we've had to wait for the transfer switch and the generator itself. And
Yeah.
so,
I guess with the transfer switch, and I had spoke to Stan last week a little bit about this. They measured it prior to this job, but down in the basement to go around the chillers, they're gonna have to cut a little bit of concrete because they don't want to lay it down.
Yeah.
So the width of it, is not that much to get it through where the old generator is, where our power comes in. For some reason, they don't want to lay it down, but as I told them, you said you could do this. I'm not paying any more for to have that done. So, in that space, they think they were going to have their rigging company that's going to get it down into the basement. They were going to do that. Next week, they should be here. We'll find out for sure what their plan is.
I wonder if they'll have to get kind of creative to get it down the steps too, like they did.
Well, probably. I mean, when we took the chillers down there, I left some of the anchors up in the concrete. I said, don't take them out because this is coming.
Yeah.
So I would think, unless they need more removed, but there is some there that they'll be able to use if need to be. It's already anchored in the concrete, so.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions for Rick?
No, just a comment about how much you do for us and how broad your job seems to get broader and broader. Every year, it feels like we're asking you to do more and more. And I know at budget time, we talk about salaries and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, that's council's purview. But I just wanted to tell you that from my perspective, how much I appreciate your willingness, and you do everything so quietly. It's like you don't make a big fuss out of it. There's never a big ruckus, but the work you do just keeps getting half construction manager, half building manager, half this, half that. I don't know how you get it all done, but thank you.
Yep, you did a great job, Rick. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can get the pay to reflect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Ed, what do you have for us?
Good morning, gentlemen. I do have a few things here. I appreciate you too, Ed, by the way. Yeah. We appreciate you, Steve. Sitting up there with.
Thank you for your time, and Tony gave you a copy of, the reports. Everything's there. Everything balances, everything's in good shape. There's a million different numbers there, and I'm ready to let you know what you want to know on any one of them.
Well, one of the things, Ed, that you've done a great job for us is making sure our funds are invested and earning us top dollar interest rise and all that stuff. Are you starting to see that tail off yet as the threat comes of declining interest rates, or what do you start to see?
The CDs are starting to, on the bonds have definitely dropped.
Yeah.
CDs, the rates that I'm getting, I just had one come to term Friday, and the rates that I got back have dropped somewhat.
Sure.
I'm doing better with savings accounts from my local banks. And so this last CD, I transferred the money to a local bank and getting more money, getting an extra 0.25%. But it all adds up. We will have another record year in investment. I don't have those final numbers yet, but looking from year to year, this will be the second year in a row where we'll have a new record.
I know you worked that hard for us. I know I appreciate it. Taxpayers appreciate it because those are dollars that they don't have to give up, that you earn for them. Again, it's going to get tougher and tougher. I know, so things go down.
I have to sharpen my pencil.
Yeah, well, thanks.
So anyway, monthly report.
All right, I'd take a motion to enter that into that.
So move. Second.
Okay, motion carries, thank you.
The second thing, with the property that we have out at Monmouth Road that we are acquiring, we had to go through a lot of hoops. Northbury did a wonderful job getting all this done because it was not easy. The last hoop that we have to do is sign a sales disclosure form that the assessor's office needs in order for us to get the actual deed. We have possession of it. We're going to retain possession, but we would actually get the deed in the commissioner's name. So I have a sales disclosure form that Mark needs to sign on behalf of the sellers, and Stan, you need to sign on behalf of the commissioners.
All right, I accept a motion for permission to sign the sales disclosure.
So move. Second.
Okay, motion carries.
If
I'll give this to Angie up in the auditor's office then, and then she will take care of everything as far as the assessors.
Okay.
What does that say? What does that say?
this is my name.
Okay. Dr. Burr.
Next thing to next.
Okay, yeah, let's just do it.
Okay. Stan, if you sign it down there, I'll fill in the dates and all that stuff for you, but it says commissioners. That's the last of about 17 different hoops we had to jump through on that. But this is an unusual situation where the way we got the property and what we're doing with it and needing the deed in order to do so. And then after that, whatever you gentlemen intend to do with that. Right. Okay, so that's good. Now we have the tax sale coming up. And we started with 78 properties. When we first started this, we're down to 12. I expect a couple, maybe 3 more will get taken care of before the end of October, the 31st, which is a Thursday, 10 o'clock. We have the tax sale here like in previous years. But we're in real good shape there, obviously.
So that's 3. Property taxes are coming in good with 99.17% for the spring collections, and fall collections are coming in really, really good. We're on track. I don't know if we're ahead, but we're on track. Personal property judgments, this is for the judgments basically on farm equipment or business equipment. We do a yearly reconciliation with our vendor, AFCS, and that has been done just this last week. I spoke with Steve Daly. He stopped in the office a couple weeks ago. Scanning situation, and I was going to use doc records and scan everything on the printing scanning machine we have in the office. Now I understand through IT that they're not going to use doc records, and they're going with this new vendor that does not use doc records, that Shelley Wright has entered into an agreement with. So as far as my office, I don't feel it prudent to spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars. A lot less than Shelley's going to have to spend, but needless to say, a lot of money to scan all those using this vendor for records that nobody looks at. In 21 and a half years that Kathy Fountain has been here, one person asked to look one time at one of those old records. And I just don't feel right at all spending that kind of money. So my suggestion would be to put my office on hold. We'll still have all the original books. We're going to have a good, solid, safe room to put them in. But I don't think we need to have digital copies of all the old stuff that nobody looks at. Now, we do have digital copies from several years going forward, and we will have those going forward. I don't see the sense in throwing good money after bad for digitizing all these old books. So we'll still have possession. Can't do away with the books.
Why don't we stop doing paper records and start doing all digital?
6 or 7 years ago, it would be before my tenure as county treasurer.
So everything from then forward is already digital.
Correct.
Correct.
And is it in doc record? Is that where your current scanning goes? I'm not positive. I'm going to say yes because I don't know where else. That's all we have right now for cold storage. Yeah. Now, Steve says that eventually that doc record is going to open up, that we're going to be able to do that. I think that's what Shelley's telling us, is that the vendor that she's using, we intend ultimately for those records to be converted and end up in the doc record world. That can't happen today because there's not a bridge between the current vendor and doc record yet. If I understand place, then I can go back to my original thoughts and start scanning. And we got about 30 years of I'm going to call them the new style books with the pages that will fit through my scanner. And we can do it all in the office for zero additional cost. But I really don't want to spend, I don't even know what that would be.
As Shelley goes through this, I mean, my impression was that she's working with all the individual departments in their situation.
She's taking care of her office, which she should. I reached out to her because I wanted to know what was going on, because I really had not heard. And she said, well, it's up to each office now to contact this vendor. This is the approved vendor, but it's up to each office to reach out to them and see what they need to do.
Well, I mean, she's not stepping in and telling you.
No.
That's my guess.
And it's not so much the scanning, but the indexing part of it, which is the big headache that everybody needs to be on the same indexing system.
Sure.
To be able to have continuity between different offices.
Yeah, sure.
And we're just not ready for that yet.
Right.
And so I would just suggest that we do not do anything with the treasurer's records. They're just tax records. They don't have all the detail that anybody's looking for. They just show that the taxes have been paid on this parcel.
Right.
Doesn't show who pays them or anything like that. And that's
what people kind of look for.
Is that anything that you guys use in the title search? Or
What's that?
any of these tax records? I mean, do you guys go in and look for that stuff out of the traces?
Absolutely.
You don't look to see who paid them, right, but necessarily.
What do you mean?
Who paid taxes 20 years ago on this parcel on this day?
No, not that. I mean, we're always looking for current stuff.
Yeah.
Delinquencies, current assessments.
So we have all that.
Yeah.
And potential button, that's all digitized. To be done.
I think it's important that we, that we recognize that those, hard copies, the book copies, the paper copies, that we're committed to create a high quality storage area for those physical records and for those records that aren't accessed, frequently, in this case, very infrequently. Doesn't seem to me to make sense to digitize those, as long as we have a high quality place where we're gonna maintain the physical record. And I think we're committed to creating that space.
All right.
That's all I have, Joe.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
You did good work too, Ed.
I'm just wondering, how many eggs do you need in here?
It's scary, that's scary. Like,
It's always more,
Good name today.
All right. All right, we do have an item on here to discuss the county-owned garage, and council on aging final funding phase. We did have that discussion with council already. Anything that we want to add to that? As far as-
Yeah, no, I think as that moves forward, the only question in my mind is gonna be, it felt to me like council was very much in favor of owning the building, figuring out where that money's gonna come from to pay the bill. We just have to figure out and work with probably the council on aging board and her budget and see what the lease might look like, and then have Mark help us understand lease options.
Do we know, have we sent out a request for bids yet?
Mark is finishing up the specifications on that this week. As soon as yep, those are going out.
I wonder, because he was gonna give him just a short time to answer, so, maybe in a couple of weeks, we might even know what kind of bids we're getting back.
Yeah, it'll probably be 2 weeks. Just once we send it out, we'll have 2 weeks to
Maybe by end of September or so.
possibly, yeah.
So, once we get bids back, at least we'll have an idea what kind of money we're looking at,
Yep.
so.
I think the reason it was on your guys' agenda was in case they had done something with rainy day. Then you got,
Right.
just on the off chance that maybe that, but I think now we're just ready to stop paying that, so.
What pocket they're gonna pay that money out of.
All right.
Yeah, we get them, back, then obviously, it's gonna be a doable thing, hopefully. We can probably get contracts let and get started, get the site work done and get the concrete down.
Yeah, get something done before the winter sets in, it's gonna be a stretch.
Very good. Well, 2 or 3 weeks, we'll look for that item on the agenda again once we start getting bids back, so. All right, Ian, you want to talk to us about opioids? Obviously, you're sitting here, you represent a choice, so. You do have a choice. I always have a choice, yeah.
Just to recap, what was said earlier during council, so this year, the opioid settlement steering committee decided to focus on the IRAX program that the sheriff spoke about earlier. That's the new program that is getting started at the jail. Recovery, housing and programming, evidence-based prevention programs in schools, and access to mental health substance use disorder treatment for adults and youth in Adams County. We received 4 grant requests in addition to the IRAX program. The committee met on August 29th at the West End. And after much discussion and review of the grant requests, the committee determined to make recommendation to the commissioners and council to fund the Crossroad community for $5,000 to be used towards paying the rent for residents who are coming out of incarceration, $10,142.46 to Adams Behavioral Health for substance use and mental health treatment and prevention for individuals who are seeking help that are uninsured and have no other way of paying for those services, and $21,762.50 to North Adams Community Schools to be used to start a DARE program in their elementary school. And that money would be used to pay for training, materials, classroom supplies, and I think there was some in there for the actual salary of the officer. To start for as soon as they can get an officer trained. And so that's the recommendation that we're making.
So if we take action on that, then that will trigger an additional, that is an appropriate.
Sounds like if you approve this, the council has made approval prior to actually doing the additional appropriations, then we'll get that turned into Bree, and then next month get that through, and that money would be available. But like, for example, I know North Adams said that there's not a training for a DARE officer right away, so it's not like they're going to be coming in here waiting in line for that money to be dispersed. And then you can have it set up however you want, so.
But if we include it, then Tony can write the check when they ask for it.
Yeah.
Good work. I appreciate it. I think that money is there to be used for drug abuse prevention, and I think you've got a great plan to deploy that. The program, again, as last year, the grant program, I think, was the way to go, and figuring out how to allocate that money out, and good work. And I would make a motion to approve these grant requests as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I vote for that also.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
Thanks again for all your work.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my office and figure out how I'm gonna get power.
You know, again, if there's something you need to do from even a temporary generator standpoint, if there's any.
I mean, we'll have no phones for 4 hours, we'll have no internet for 4 hours, the alarm on the building won't work for 4 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be less than 4 hours.
Yeah.
Let's hope, so we'll figure it out. No, thank you.
Well, again, when you reach out to those contacts, I wouldn't be afraid to try and push that to a weekend, but you might not have a luck with it.
Real hard on it, so.
Even when the DARE program died out, it stopped that roughly. I covered it many years back in 2017.
It's been a while.
I mean, you guys was their officer that paid for years and years. Where's your switches and your hub and all that stuff at some motivation
In the basement.
It's all just plugged in down there.
I think so.
Get extension cords down there. So I was talking about.
Yeah, there's a stairway down into the basement, but we don't have like a place to plug a generator into.
No, if you like, I got a generator outside.
Yeah.
You just run a bunch of 10
So
gauge.
you had signed in.
Extension cords down there.
That's what it's about. It's corrected now. Yeah.
And I ran a whole bank branch in a pinch off of my personal generator from home, so. Don't tell OSHA that I said.
I mean, just have phones and.
If you can get your IT equipment,
It's fine.
just plug it in, get it plugged in.
And see what Ethan says, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, you get some 10 gauge extension cords and a bunch of cords of plumbing, and that's, I love it off too, you can use, and we'll just pull up the big generator. Yeah, I mean, you got one the generator capacity, it's can we step it down to the level you can plug your stuff into. Okay. You can see, you got enough extension cords, everything you have is plugged in. So you got enough extension cords, you can at least get critical systems. Sewer district has that big generator, and I don't know what the connection looks like off of it. I don't, that's not the one you want, but. Yeah, but what they usually do is they can run a pigtail off of it. Yeah, step that in, and yes, step it down. I mean, it's got plenty of capacity to run your facility.
All right, I'm working on that, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I've had to do that by necessity when we got $1,000 worth of meat in the freezer. Just figure out how to get that going.
Just a burner, it's got to figure it out.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's light, it's kind of an extra. I think that's the reason ultimately it would be good if we can get that all inside of our little cocoon here.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
The judicial thing you're talking about. Yeah, right.
yeah. Well, I'm not very good.
Me, I'm up to me, all right. Yeah. I say sometimes, Mother Nature takes power out for you. Yeah. It's just gone, and it can move for days. So, I think. On the agenda, we have, Ed had a question about the removal of the delinquent property tax on that parcel that the county acquired. There's a section buried in the tax code somewhere, I know, that should do that, but finding it's like a needle in a haystack, but I'll find it anyway. They can take care of that. I'm not concerned about that. On the agenda we have, so a couple of weeks ago, we opened up the proposals on the FEMA flood mitigation project out there at Oakwood. And those proposals were higher than what Rod had in the budget. And so I've talked with Rod, I've talked with Mark Boone, and we can we can change the specifications in the project, bury that concrete on site. Those lots out there, that's over an acre. So it's a big lot. And so there really is no problem at all with just burying all the concrete on site. The specifications that he had was to remove all of the concrete except the slab, haul it off site, talking to the contractors. That was a huge portion of the cost. And if we could just bury it on site, that would get us where we need to be, most likely. So what we need to do today is just reject the quotes that you received. You only had 2. Reject those quotes, and then Rod's already got the new specifications prepared, and I'll email him, and he's going to send them out today, and we'll get new quotes with specifications to bury on site. It just has to be buried at least 36 inches below grade. So make a motion to reject those quotes.
I don't know if them, I don't think they're an acre lots out there. I don't want them, it's not near an acre.
Well, how do you say?
If they did that out and bury that cement, is that going to flush out all that water on the rest of us?
No,
Because they won't drive the ditch behind it.
no, it's not, but they'll have to level it out. That's already a depression there. That's a low lot. I lived there, grew up there next to that. That's the lowest lot in Oakwood. And they actually got it diked up behind that lot, so, they can dig it on site and level that ground and slope it to the ditch, be better than it is now. Yeah, in terms of volume, it's not gonna change it. But, yeah, we just need to reject those quotes, we'll respec it and get it done. Good, any questions?
And he's got those already. So they should be able to move that pretty quickly.
Yep. Good. The chances are you're gonna have less runoff because right now you've got a roof there. You got whatever the square footage footprint of that house is generating runoff. And once that roof's gone, it's all going in the ground. It's gonna absorb.
So how are we doing as far as our time frame? Because we were really getting into a time crunch on that one.
No, I think the time issue has more to do with getting the, once we get the bids and we authorize the work, it has to be done within 90 days.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I thought it was more urgent than that. Good.
Yep.
All right.
So that passed. Yep, everybody in favor of that. All right, well, I'll let Rod know, and I know that's been but on the GIS, it shows, I think on the GIS, it shows that it's 1.04 acres. That particular lot, I'll pull it up right now. That, I think that one's, remember, right, it's 1.04. Now, give or take, I mean, GIS isn't perfect, but it ain't bad. It's pretty good. Let's see. Well, yeah, most of those lots. Yeah, that is, let's see. Pull out the record card. Yes, 1.0 is the size of that lot that house is on. And then next, which it looks like dimensional. And that might be, let's see what's the next one next door. The one right across the street's 0.93, so. You know, they're not all identical, but they're pretty similar.
It's right where that creek makes a bend.
You know what, that was always a mess. Yeah, actually, what happened, I think, because Cal Yost put that subdivision in, that was a subdivision ahead of its time. That was a subdivision that was done before the county had zoning.
Yeah.
Remember, his name was not a subdivision control ordinance when that was put in back in, I think, the 50s. And so that old line used to come up and I think probably run similar to where that road is. And they moved the ditch because Yost had bulldozers. And so
You know, the ditch back there, it's about all road shut, there ain't much drainage, that's that part.
well, that probably needs dipped. That's something we could talk to the surveyor.
You go talk to the surveyor and they say we can't dredge that because it's contaminated.
What? No, let's talk to the surveyor. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
That's the ditch that comes from Country Acres.
well, yeah, probably. So, but it makes a big turn there. And yeah, I remember that. Well, plus you've got all that water that used to come off of, what's their name's, Wilder's field. All that water comes off of that field and it came down. My dad built that house down there by the corner then. But it used to, when I was a kid, it'd come off that field and then it made a turn and it went right down the road and it made a turn and went right into Denny Sheets' house. Because that's who owned it at the time. I think Denny Sheets built the thing.
Well, obviously, that's the reason behind this whole process we're going through is because it came flooding and we needed to get removed. And so Rod helped us find the funding to make that happen.
That house,
So they went in there one time and they had about everybody on the back street back there in the flood zone, and they had to pay orders to get us out of it, but we weren't in one.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
yeah, it changed the flood maps had that all in FEMA flood zone and
They couldn't get no, people that could get loans, they couldn't get them because it's in floodplain. Well, the surveyor come in, somebody come in there and done a survey of it all and got what would had to be paid.
yeah,
You're not in flood zone, for insurance purposes.
yeah, so FEMA keeps the flood maps and, they showed that in the flood zone, but if you get an elevation certificate, surveyor does an elevation certificate for you and shows that the lowest point of entry on your house, it has to be, I think, 2 feet above the base flood elevation. And if they can show that, which most of those houses, the ones that were built later back there, they built them up high enough that they're not in the floodplain now. So you look at the flood map and mortgage companies contract with flood cert companies. And I remember there's one out of Texas. Okay, so think about this. There's a company in Texas that is telling First Merchants Bank whether or not this house is in the flood zone in Decatur, Indiana. And so what are they looking at? Well, they're looking at FEMA data, and that data is old. And, so they're saying, oh, this whole area is in the flood zone. You can even go and get an elevation certificate, get your property removed from there. They're supposed to update the map. And they do it for a while, and then a few years goes by, and it's right back in the flood zone. So, if, whenever you do an elevation certificate, don't lose it. Hang on to it and don't lose it because otherwise you'll have a mess with flood insurance. So anyway, long story, but that's, we're getting that back out
Well, I
for,
tell Mike and Cindy Heiser, that's what they had to do for their building,
I bet, yeah,
so.
yep.
All right.
Yeah, we had that same situation with some houses along 500 north, east of Richards. Well, out there by where's the Great East?
West of Richards?
Yeah, I'm sorry, west of Richards, out there. So that ditch out there, all those places were in a flood zone. And we had an estate and we had an elevation certificate and it was high enough, so we got it out, but it's a long process.
Well, it's interesting when they do that because they look at, even all the structures downstream and restrictions. I mean, it's a pretty complete study there. So, all right, anything else for us, Mark?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Shannon, do you have anything for us?
Not,
One of the things at some point, we have to start a discussion on the, we can kind of wait till after the auction on the disposition of the property at Fulton Meadows. So I don't know how and when we want to look at the disposition of that property, because I think the sooner we make some decisions, the better, especially going into winter. So any thoughts on, or Mark, any thoughts on how to proceed with that discussion? I mean, I know we've talked about different ideas as far as demolition, as far as rehab, as far as selling. So I think there's, it's just such a strong structure. But the rehab on a building like that, to make it viable, would, number one, require public sewer, two, require heating and HVAC revamp. It would require door and window revamp. I mean, it would be.
You couldn't build a structure like that today, though.
But you couldn't build a structure like that. So.
I guess I have a history in my past. I worked with rehabbing buildings like that, large structures, commercial structures. And, that building is built for multi-tenant occupancy. And to think about doing anything other than multi-tenant occupancy with it, whether it would be a residential facility of some kind or whatever, I have a hard time envisioning a commercial application for that other than a residential facility. So I think the first thing we need to do is determine, does the county have any future use for it? If the answer to that is no, the next question is going to be then how do we dispose of it, either as a structure for potential use done by another owner, or when we demolish it and dispose of it as bare ground. But I've not heard anybody come to the table with a potential need from the county's perspective for us to keep the building. Is that, do you agree with that? I mean, I've not seen anybody say, well, the county needs it for this or that.
Are the rules with that similar to what they are in the schools? That if you make a decision to bid it out, it has to be a certain percentage of the value, or is the county different? They can get together and just decide, let's just get rid of it, or?
It's such a unique building that I think you can, you can dispose of it, but public auction.
When we sold the jail, we had public auction and we didn't have any bidders, and finally we got it sold for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it appraised at or what the value was. So.
Yeah, I think at least in you might be able to Yeah, it's gonna need municipal sewer. And it might be such a thing that if the county says, okay, we're gonna auction it off, we're gonna have one requirement, and that is if the facility is going to be used for any sort of residential facility, that it must be connected to municipal sewer. Which means that whoever buys it's gonna have to get that sewer extended, because you don't wanna have, because you know that mound system out there is not great.
No, it's no. Well, maybe we do think about writing up some kind of structured agreement and then see if there's an interest in buying it.
Yeah, it's a fortress.
It is, but like I said, it's from a commercial use, it's not very functional. It's
No.
all cut up into little rooms and it's just not a viable solution from a commercial standpoint. It's built for multi-tenant or residential occupancy, and you're probably gonna need sprinklers, I don't know what all you're gonna need to bring it up to current code. I can't imagine you can afford to do that. I just can't imagine it.
Yeah, I mean, if it was closer to the hospital, maybe the hospital would want it, but I don't think they can, for the money that it would take to get it up to standard, they can build new.
My fear is somebody would buy it for a relatively small amount of money, because that's probably all it's gonna bring. And will not have the financial wherewithal to finish bringing it up to usable, and it becomes dilapidated and becomes an eyesore and a big blight on our county, and I don't want that either.
And then you get it back at tax sale.
Yeah, I don't want that.
That could happen.
Nate, you think, or any thoughts?
Nothing at the moment.
All right, well, if we have to do any further professional evaluations on that building, we can think about that before we
Yeah.
make a decision.
That may be something to think about.
I would think your line of question is correct as far as, does the county have a use for that land and property? And if we do, what is it? And if we do not have a use for that property, what's gonna be the best way to,
How do we dispose of it?
so, I think those are our two questions, right?
Yeah.
Steve?
Could make a heck of a haunted house, but
That's my thoughts.
Well, I got keys if you want to start some floors.
All right, well, so much for that, we'll continue to consider that. So,
I hear you. I get it.
I am gonna try and schedule a meeting, another joint meeting with council and commissioners for the purpose to discuss, potential purchase of real estate, so look for that coming up next. By the end of the month, hopefully. So,
As you've seen, we have a meeting coming up on Friday of the steering committee of the countywide vision plan. And we'll be making a presentation for the consultant that the selection committee is recommending. So that'll happen on Friday morning.
we sent that over to be.
Yeah, and assuming that that we can get a consensus there, then that recommendation will come to the commissioners as a recommendation to engage with that consultant.
Very good.
I think you still have the sign where they can gather out there too. Sign, consultants gather here or whatever.
Yeah.
The chairs are on, but
The sun's, you might take that back.
All right, Steve, anything? Anything from the general public?
EMA would like to speak for just a couple minutes.
Clock's ticking.
So if you come back anytime next week.
I guess this is any time.
This is anytime. So I think the last time we were here, we asked for your permission to sell the current decon trailer we have. So during that, after that, we contacted Sullivan's and Indiana Trailer Sales to get them to come give us some kind of an estimate on what they would do with the trade-in or, you know, what it's actually worth. We have called them multiple times and emailed them multiple times. Sullivan's has never responded. We sent them pictures too, and we sent Indiana Trailer Sales pictures. But Indiana Trailer Sales says they're gonna try to come out to Golden Meadows tomorrow afternoon, because tomorrow morning, the auctioneer is gonna come to Monroe Fire and haul that trailer out to Golden Meadows for us.
Okay.
So yesterday, Brad Piotr was kind enough to help Megan and I. We did inventory what was inside and pushed all the stuff that we know is not good, we want to get rid of, to the back end of the trailer. And then the good stuff we left in the front end. And then Shannon said there's an empty dumpster out at Golden Meadows. So we're planning on, when the trailer's out there, getting rid of all the old stuff. There were a few things we're able to salvage. We found 2 or 3 huge tubs of brand new t-shirts that are just from all over the place. But just stuff like that. So we're gonna try to take that to United Way or someplace that, you know, somebody that can maybe give it out to somebody to use it. But the real reason is I found out more about how the trailer was originated. So I called John August. He said that trailer was purchased by Ivan Neville,
Okay.
who was the EMA director prior to John, and he bought it with an SHSP grant from the state. So what we are requesting is if there's any profits when the trailer sells, if it sells, we would like those funds to go back into the SHSP grant so that when we buy the next trailer, we can use that
Why, sure, that makes
to
sense.
help offset some of the expense of it.
Are they gonna give us, so we can let the realtor know the reserve on it?
Yes, he said most of the stuff or all the stuff in the auction doesn't have a reserve, but we told him we want one on it, which is kind of what we're hoping the guy from Indiana Trailer Sales
Sure.
will kind of give us a basis tomorrow.
Okay.
People that we've talked to, like fire chief, stuff like that, they're thinking if we get 2,500 or so out of it, that's good. The auctioneer, he has the pictures, he's actually seen it. He thinks we could get up to 4,000. So, but we are gonna
I
put a
was gonna say,
reserve.
a nice enclosed trailer like that. Man, that's got a drop down tailgate, doesn't it?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, somebody looking for a toy hauler or whatever, man.
The only thing that's bad about it is the brakes don't work anymore.
Well,
That can be fixed, you know,
Yeah. I
so.
mean, you don't need to set off it anyway.
Just don't go that fast.
Mark, can you come up to the office after we're done, so we make sure we have the phone numbers, we figure out how all that's gonna work, where we need to put them, you know, so we have that ahead of time.
Does that work for you guys to direct those funds specifically?
Well, that's what we're gonna have to look at to see, and as a matter of fact, it works out well because State Board of Accounts is upstairs.
Okay.
So we can directly go ask them, hey, this was purchased out of this grant.
Yeah.
Can it now go back to that? They need to, that's what I was gonna do. If you come upstairs, we'll find that information out.
Do we need a motion on that?
I'm not quite
I
that.
don't know. I don't think we need to
These 2 minutes are really
Don't worry. So, I mean, we weren't sure whether, because it's so old, we didn't know whether it was purchased through a grant or, you know, whether county paid for it, whatever. Because we were hoping the money doesn't go to county general, that we can reuse it for our next trailer.
Yeah.
But right on the outside of the trailer, it says funded by Homeland Security. So we were pretty sure until we talked to John and found out exactly where it was. And then our other question.
Hey, one question on the trailer yet. When we sent the laundry equipment to Jay County Home, did we have to do some kind of disclaimer that, hey, it's yours now, we're not responsible for it, or whatever? I mean, do we have to do that on a trailer or anything?
For what now?
It seemed like when we did the washer and dryer from Golden Meadows,
Oh, yeah,
we either gave or sold them to Jay County, that was fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, look, they're yours now, we're not responsible.
No, in this in this case, it's auction, it's sold.
Auction as is.
Yeah, the terms of the sale are as is, so we'll be fine.
So that trailer has, writing on the side of it, it has to be de-identified for its legal premises, or who's responsible for the insurance on it. When I sold the big trucks and stuff at four-way auction, you could buy them with the word and everything on them, but we had to de-identify them before they had premises, because somebody's liable for it if something happens to it.
I'd say Pete, let's figure that
That's
out.
a
I
term.
mean, you can take my thing over, or, when it's paid sprayer or whatever, but it has to be de-identified for this road.
He'll figure all that out. He's done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean de-identified?
Well, she said, go by farm, Homeland Security or something.
Has emergency management on it. I took a picture of
If it gets in an accident, you can see your number.
Yeah, it's a running or whatever.
Oh, I see.
Just take it.
I'm not paying attention. Scott,
Yeah.
keep on unit.
My husband works for an ambulance company where they put decals on and take decals off the ambulances.
Can't spray paint.
It's important. I think that's not really a cautionary thing to do, but I wouldn't be afraid to defend that lawsuit. Yes.
I would let spray paint it because that might find the price. I would give it to the sale. Yeah. He does react. He's done just fine about that.
Get sold with those that we are gonna paint over after or something like that, maybe.
Well, try and get one of those kids that operate on the river.
I can send that gift card.
I would bring it to Pete tomorrow and tell him what the concern is and he'll be able to handle it.
So our last part of the question is then, and we had emailed Tony about this, we don't know how the process is at the auction if someone buys it.
Shannon has the title now. She'll take it out there when it sells. Steve or the commissioner will sign off on it there for the new.
At the auction.
Yes. I know that sells. Yeah, that's it. It sells, we'll sign off on it.
Yeah, we didn't know how that worked.
That's the, you got that covered.
Awesome. Okay, that's all we have.
We've got people that know that stuff.
Yes, we don't know anything, but we know people who know things.
That's all.
We need you, we're gonna ask people.
Okay.
Me and Gilmer just texted me, they're going to be that Sunday, they're not gonna be out of power there.
Goodness.
So do you guys have any questions for us about that? Okay.
No.
So.
Excited to see the trailer.
Yeah. So we have gotten some estimates on smaller, more current trailers that we could use.
Yeah.
We could use for incident command and decon both. They're about 12,000 at most. At the most. So we were hoping we get part of the money to go against the trailer. We thought about maybe applying to the foundation grant to try to get some. But if we're short, can the county step in and help us pay the difference? I mean, we don't know what that's gonna be, but we'll figure
Depending
it
on the
out.
cost, there's a threshold. If it's not past a certain amount, you probably wouldn't have to get quotes or anything like that, and Mark could answer some of that.
Okay.
You would have to come before the commissioners of the station boards.
Because all of our state grants now are so restricted that we can't get a new trailer through this.
We can't get any kind of equipment anymore. Remember all those radios?
Oh,
All the furniture for EOC, Carla got, they have none of that.
The HMEP grant that's opened up right now, we can't get any equipment, it's all gonna be training.
Wow. I think you're to get a trailer that's more functional, that you can pull with your current equipment. Makes all sense, we'll figure out how to make it work.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. It makes too much sense for it not to work.
I know, I agree.
As long as it's not a horse trail.
I have, a mini donkey now, he would fit perfectly.
My mini donkey,
Mini donkey, he's only 4 months old too.
Is he a Jenny or a Jack?
Jack.
Is he gonna get mascot in the parade for a certain?
Wanting to be a mascot for EMS.
I got them at an auction and I didn't take my trailer with me and I fit them in the back of my Ford Flex. You didn't make work.
That's the.
And you know what? It's my husband's donkey, so. Thank you so much more. Thank you guys.
All right, let's get it, Glenn.
Yes, second.
All right, motion carried.